A couple weeks ago, when I came out here live on YouTube, well, not on YouTube, but on Facebook, and it later kind of talked about it here on YouTube, um, and basically admitted finally that I am a fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, basically a brony, basically being one of the bronies, if you want to call it that. Um, of course, I figured I was going to get teased still a little bit by my siblings, my older sister. In fact, it was a few days later that my older sister kind of got me about it. She kind of went into her room and plucked out a My Little Pony gift bag and said, "Ooh, look what I got, Brian," and all that. And I took it in jest because I had a feeling that was going to happen. Um, and, it's not surprising that I'm not the only one that gets kind of teased still about that, even though I've come out and admitted it along with a lot of other males and females, husbands, wives, aunts, uncles, you name it. Um, I know I'm not the only one because when you think about it, My Little Pony, this is actually the first 5 seasons right here. When it came out, initially it's a show targeted for younger kids, mostly younger girls. And what's funny is it's gone beyond that. It's gone beyond being just a show for them. It's gone on to be a show for everybody. And the fact that as early as the second season, somewhat the first season I believe, but some parts of the second season, you started to see that it was more of a show targeted for everybody. You could see that, like I said, for example, in the season 2 finale, the second part, where Pinky is using, after a changeling impersonates everybody, all of her friends, including her, she basically quotes, "Oh, I've seen better," grabs Twilight that's next to her and starts using Twilight as a machine gun by, trickling, just taking her tail and just using it as a like a machine gun, like I said, like a trigger, and just rapidly shooting off, having Twilight rapidly shoot off her magic from a horn. So there are funny moments in there. There's no doubt, and references and acknowledgments here and there that younger fans, the targeted audience, may not get. So again, again, for me, I wasn't I wasn't taken aback. It was in jest, if you will. Um, and she still kind of teases me here and there. It's like, she asked me if I was looking forward to the movie, and then she would solemnly just ask me, regularly, like how much the collection could be, and that, had we known something like that, we should have started collecting some of the stuff we grew up with, like the original G1s, the Gems, the Barbies, the Transformers that we grew up on as early as when we were kids, if we had known they were going to be a lot. Um, but, they still tease and jest, and it's no big deal because I think when they do, because I think what's going on is they're looking online a little bit, and they're starting to see exactly what I've been saying is, and anybody else has been saying it is true. And they've probably been asking around too, like, is this true? Is this? Is that? So they're getting a better understanding, like, okay, maybe there is something there, but why? And that's the biggest question I think any of us still get asked is why? Because even though we might tell people that we're a fan of the show, and they understand and respect that, they'll still find it kind of strange because it's like, yeah, that's cool and everything, but you realize that's a show for little girls, or that's a show for young kids. It shouldn't make, it shouldn't be a show that attracts an older audience, especially adults. And that's understandable. That really is. But I think what it is, and I've said this before, is that there's so much on television, cable, over the air, streaming, and all that, that when it comes to a lot, that when it comes down to it, this show has something for everybody. And again, like I said, there are references and acknowledgments to pop culture, cities, and all that that younger viewers may not get and older viewers will. So, so I look at it like, you know, so I look at it like, yeah, it's a show originally meant for a younger audience, but take a look at how they debuted the trailer, and you know how it's more focused on action and all that and stuff, and you know more like, and basically more along the line saying, hey, we're going to be PG. This movie's going to be a PG rated movie, and this is a movie based on a show originally targeted at younger kids. You know, and you got all these big name celebrities for them, and you're getting some of these semi named celebrities to come in and voice characters on the show. You know, like Lena Hall, William Shatner, Weird Al. You know, it shows you the impact that they have. The show has had across all borders. So the other day on the 4th of July, during my lunch break, I talked about how you shouldn't be ashamed and shouldn't be worried about going to a cinema and seeing what you want to see. And the reason I brought this up was basically there's a question going on at several message boards where people ask, will you go see the movie? How will you see the movie? And some are saying, oh, well, we'll pirate it, we'll BitTorrent it, we'll wait for the Blu-ray or the DVD to come out. We'll wait for it to come on Discovery Family or Stars or whatever, or Netflix. And you know, some will say they will go and see it in the theaters, but the one thing that kind of worries people apparently is not if the cinema is going to show it, because the cinema will. The cinema will. But what worries them is the looks, the awkward looks that they're going to get. And let me put it to you like this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what movie you go and see. You're always going to get awkward looks, no matter what. You know, Brad Jones, aka the Cinema Snob, does a weekly or bi-weekly series called the Midnight Screenings. And what he does is he goes along with a friend or a few friends or someone that's in town, and they go and see a movie at the midnight hour. Basically, they go see it at midnight or at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whenever it debuts at the cinema. They go and see a movie that is originally slated to debut on the next day, on that Friday. Debut the next day, which would be a Friday. They go and see it. They go and see that movie during its midnight showing, or it's 11 o'clock, basically it's 10 o'clock to midnight showing. So they go and see it and then do a review immediately afterwards. Well, he decided, along with a friend, to go do a review of one of the more recent Barbie movies that had a limited run at the theaters. And this is a movie where Barbie is from another planet. She's like an alien, another planet, stuff like that. Basically, I can't think of the name right now, but basically Barbie lives on another planet in space, stuff like that. So he and a friend went to go see it during the day. It was during a weekday in the morning. They went to the morning showing as soon as the theater opened. And they went and saw it. Now, from what Brad had said, about 99, this is what I said on a topic when I replied on the message board by typing. Brad Jones went and saw, when they went in, from what I can understand, they had maybe about 95 to 99% of the people there didn't say a word. They didn't say anything. about 95, 99% of the people that went there early for early showings went there because they had to work, didn't say a thing. He said the only thing that he got was a glance maybe from a little girl that was with her mom, seeing them going into the cinema or into the theater room where the Barbie movie was being played. That was the only thing they had. And they sat through it, they watched it, and for some odd reason, I think they thought it was alright. Not saying it was perfect, had its problems and all that, but they went and saw it. So, to, so for me, when I look at that, if there's any advice I could give anybody that's kind of worried about seeing the MLP movie, go see it during the day at your local theater. Go to your local theater, cinema, and go see it during the day showings. If they don't do day showings through Monday through Thursday, then go on a Friday. Go on the following Friday, because I think the theaters open early that day on a Friday. I'm not really sure. I think they do that all across the nation. Go there early. Go to the first showing or second showing that they have during the day on a Friday. Go see the movie. Get done with it. Get it out of the way. And go back home or go wherever you're going to go next to do the review. That's my advice. To kind of, if you don't want to feel embarrassed, go to a daytime showing. But if you don't want to feel embarrassed, if you feel, hey, it's no big deal, other people do this anyway. You know, people don't say anything when people went and saw Trolls. Nobody said anything when they saw Cars 3. Nobody said anything, let's say, when they went and saw Finding Dory. Da da da. You know. Why should anybody be ashamed? In fact, one person even quoted what I had typed up there, and they said the same thing. They basically said what I'm saying. It's like, we live today in a world where nobody's going to give two flying you-know-whats about what you see. If you want to go see the MLP movie, then go see the MLP movie. Don't worry about what other people will say. I'll give you my own personal example, and I said this in my 4th of July video. I said this in the topics as well when I typed it up. Back in the early 2000s, when Universal released the Josie and the Pussycats movie, of course Cartoon Network was doing a big marathon on Josie and the Pussycats over the weekends that were leading up to the movie, even the weekend of the movie. And I got invested in it. I wanted to go see this. So after a while, I waited. And right next door to me, let's say this is my apartment. I go out the doors here, and right next door, or beyond the fence in my backyard, right in that area, you take that fence, you go beyond the barn house, the barnyard, or not the barnyard, but the barn house, farmhouse, whatever you call it. A little bit. You go beyond that to where the main street is, where I go wait for the bus. That's when I have to have a ride to work. Around that area, that's how close the theater was to where I lived. And, it was actually that. So I went to the theater. So basically what happened, long story short, I wanted to see Josie and the Pussycats, and when it finally showed up at what we called the Gauge Theaters, I think it was Gauge 8 they called it at where I lived, because it was the Gauge 4 theaters in Topeka. This was, I think, Gauge 8 in Lawrence. So I went and saw it there. And fun fact, I was the only one that was in the theater when it came on, or when they played it. Reason being is because it was, I think, an early showing. It was an early showing, I think around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock during the day, and it was a weekday. So I went and saw Josie and the Pussycats at the theaters, and I saw it, by myself, alone in the theater, in the theater room, in the cinema room that it was being played in. So I sat there, had, I think, soda and popcorn, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And what's funny is nobody Not the ticket seller, not the concession people. Nobody batted an eye about it. Nobody did. And I basically had done the smart thing, because when you realize, when you look at this, the Josie and the Pussycats movie was originally intended to be a girls' movie, right? That's what it was originally intended to be. So, which I'm sure Universal didn't account for the fact that it was going to probably have a audience of many fans of different genders and ages going to see it. So for me, I made the smart move. I went and saw it. I enjoyed it, but I did it at a time where I wouldn't have, as some people are worried about here, eyes looking at me from different perspectives, thinking, "Why is that guy going in and see Josie and the Pussycats?" You know what I'm saying? The point I'm making, the point I'm trying to make here is this: you shouldn't be ashamed about what people are going to think. You want to go see a movie that's based on this series that's been running for essentially currently in its 7th year. You know, you shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't be ashamed about going to see a movie based on this. Why? Because I guarantee you that no one's going to bat an eye. No one's going to say anything. I guarantee you this: opening weekend, you're going to have more adults in that theater, maybe some with their kids, but you're going to have more adults selling out, or nearly selling out, each of the cinema screens are going to house the My Little Pony movie. If the My Little Pony movie ends up on 2 screens, its opening weekend in week, and many of the theaters across the nation, most of those, especially in the evening, are going to be near sellouts, possibly at least for that opening week. You know, and maybe even during the daytime showings if people decide to go during the day. The thing is, like I said, we shouldn't be ashamed about going to see something like this. Because if I can go see Josie and the Pussycats, then on my own, even if I was by myself in the cinema, but if I can go see it on my own and enjoy it, I don't think we should be ashamed of seeing something like this. All right? If I can go into the theater and watch Spirit 3-4 times. 4 times I saw Spirits, Stallion of the Cimarron. 4 times. If I can see that by myself, and this majority of them are kids around, they're adults as well, I'll go see it, and I enjoyed it. The point is, we shouldn't be ashamed about anything. If people want to say something, let them say it, but let's not take it too seriously. Because I know this is going to be many fans that are going to see this movie in theaters. But again, my advice, if you feel like you'll be embarrassed, go to a daytime showing, maybe on a Thursday or Friday, if your theater opens early in the day. But my advice, don't be ashamed about going to see it. Don't be. And that's all I'm going to say, folks. That's all I'm going to say. Don't be ashamed about it. Just look at it like, you know what? It's my decision. I'll do it. I'm not worrying about what other people think. So that's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think. But like I said, don't be ashamed of going to see this movie at theaters. And if you do a weekday afternoon or weekday morning showing, either on the Thursday or Friday that they open up early. That's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. I'm out.